What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I just briefly want to talk about Uncharted 3. Thought I'd throw this video together. It's the 13-year anniversary of this game, and I needed one more video topic for today, and I thought, this is normally a video I would do on Back to the Past, and probably for the 15-year anniversary, I'll do a retrospective. I'll replay it. I'll look back, and we'll go through. I actually really want to go through the entire Uncharted franchise on my third channel, Back to the Past, but for this, I thought, hey, you know what? This goes back and forth between kind of being my favorite Uncharted game. So any excuse that I ever have to talk about it, I'm going to spring at the opportunity. So firstly, may I just say, 13 years, happy birthday. And this is a game I remember playing quite vividly. I jumped into the PS3 generation, as you may know from my history, a little bit late, 2009, June of 2009, and I jumped in for Prototype. Eventually, I got the Infamouses of the world and Killzone. Resistance I actually got in the bundle when I got my PS3 in June of 2009. It came with Resistance and Motorstorm, so I kind of immediately became fans of that franchise and was more into Prototype than Infamous, but fast forward to that Christmas of 2009, and one of the games I got for that Christmas was Uncharted 1. Now, I played Uncharted 1, and then I think I waited a little bit and got Uncharted 2. So I didn't play either of those when they first came out. I had heard great things, back in the day, back in 2009, 2010. I watched a lot of IGN reviews. Now, I've not done that so much recently, but back then that was all the rage. So, I knew about this franchise. I knew it was getting really, really high scores and whatnot, and it was phenomenal, right? It quickly became my favorite franchise of all time. Now, time does things to you, and, as time has gone on, I go back and forth, Uncharted or Sly Cooper. Those are kind of go back and forth between my favorite franchise ever. But I would say in the height of Uncharted love, Uncharted was my favorite. Maybe like recency bias when it was at that time. So now fast forward to 2011, and I remember a couple of things. I remember getting a very, very close friend of mine that I've known since I was like 3 years old. I brought him over to my house, and every week or so, I walked him through the Uncharted franchise. And I had already played 1 and 2, like I said, so I kind of watched him, or we went back and forth. Like he would play one chapter, I would play the next. So I caught him up to Uncharted 1 and 2, and then we both played 3 together. And we played a lot of games. We played God of War 3, I remember famously back then, and we kind of went all the way through like The Order 1886. We played that together. But a lot of that, I guess, late PS3 generations games, I would play with a close friend of mine. And Uncharted 3 comes out, and I just thought it was like the greatest thing of all time when it released. Now, honestly, I still think it holds up well, to be clear and to be genuine. I replayed all of these games in the summer of 2020. Summer of 2020, I played 1 through 4, including actually Lost Legacy. I've only played Golden Abyss once, so that wasn't included in that, but I went through all of these games. And, my love for 2 and 3 specifically is just unwavering. 4 goes back and forth. When 4 came out, I thought that was the greatest thing of all time, and then, I kind of go back and forth with it now. It lasted for a while. I would have called that game my favorite game of all time for a very long time, Uncharted 4, and, recently, these last couple of years, it's like, I don't know. There's something very special about Uncharted 3. So now specifically, I kind of caught you up in my history. Uncharted 3, I really do believe is a masterpiece. I love pretty much everything about that game. I know one of the main criticisms is it retreads a lot of Uncharted 2 waters, but I think its themes and kind of like its main plot structural points are actually far better, in my opinion, than 2. 3 has always been my favorite of that trilogy. And then again, 4 kind of upset the balance a little bit. But, the young Nathan Drake and him getting with Sully, I love. Marlowe, love. Talbot, love. Charlie Cutter, I think he's a phenomenal character. Kind of some of the background there. Like, he couldn't be on set, I think, for a very long time. So they kind of had to reduce his role. I think Charlie is awesome in that game. And, there's a little bit of deception. There's a little bit of like which way are some of these characters and some of these plot lines going to go. But I saved the best for last. It's the relationship between Nate and Sully. Now, like the prequel stuff, right, like the early days of them is very important, but primarily just that desire of like Nate to like constantly be going over and like we're just going to push on, right? And Sully just to be there behind him saying, hey, I got your back. I think about the Burning Chateau, really, right? That's a really pivotal moment, the cutscene kind of right after it, where it's like you've got to think this through. Like you're being very all over the place. You're gonna get yourself killed, and I'm here to watch out for you. That's my whole point. And I'm gonna always have your back, but I'm not gonna let you run yourself. And also, I'm coming with you. Just their dynamic in this game. Richard McGonigal, Nolan North, phenomenal. And I mean, to me, that is what makes Uncharted 3 Uncharted 3 is. And I really love Sully. I think Sully is one of the best characters, if not maybe top 2. Like when I think of Uncharted, I think to Nate and I think to Sully. I think Sam's a great character, Chloe and Elena, and there's a lot. There's a really good cast of characters throughout the whole thing. Sully really is, I think, my number 2, and he never really had time to shine, at least leading. Like, he has his moments. Uncharted 1, he's used kind of like sparingly, though. He's not really used a lot. Uncharted 2, I mean, kind of the same thing. He's very in and out of that. 3 is kind of his moment to shine. And then 4, he's got kind of like big moments and kind of being this really older mentor that kind of comes in when Nate needs him. But 3 is that time. He's in it a lot. There's a lot of scenes with those two. And, of course, you think, too, I think the huge moment, maybe the biggest moment of the whole game, when he gets shot. And I've seen that clip. I actually haven't seen that clip since 2020, except for one time online, maybe like a week ago. I don't know why it was being shared. Maybe it was from Radic over on Twitter, who's a great guy, great creator. And he was showing a clip of like who else, like what emotion did you have when that happened? I remember sitting there, I always played games on my floor up until I was like 23, 24 years old. I always sat down on the floor, like looking up at the TV. So I was sitting on the floor, my friend was there, and they're talking, and you hear that shot kind of ringing out in the distance, and you see Sully, being shot. And I remember being like, I couldn't believe, I'm actually struggling for words, which is ironic because I talk so much. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe what just happened. And in the tweet that I saw like a week ago, what I found interesting is like I resonated with Nate. My personality and what I wanted to do in that moment matched Nathan Drake. Does that make sense? When Sully gets shot, and Nate in that moment, there's the disbelief, right? And I think like the first thing he says is what, or like, huh? Like his eye like kind of drops. Where he's like, I don't even know what just happened. So like the disbelief that anything happened in the first place, then like the awareness that, oh my dear God, then like the panic and the sorrow, and then the anger, right? I'll never forget. The first thing he does after all of that is he runs, right? And he is going for blood. He's going to go kill Talbot, right? Now, what's funny is I do think, because right after that is obviously, and the whole thing's fake, right? Which, I think they captured that emotion perfectly to then just kind of say, hey, it was a trick. We tricked you. I'm not too mad at that because I think it worked ultimately. And it was the culmination of that relationship, right? It was building up. And yet Nate was putting Sully in these very dangerous situations, right? Where it's like, it's going to come back to bite you. And it did, but just in his mind, right? But I remember in a funny way, so that was so depressing. It made me so angry as a person, and I matched Nathan Drake in that time. I remember because, it's all fake, and it's all like the kind of like supernatural, right, spirit type things. They're hard. Like, they're very difficult. And I think I only play on normal. I end up platinuming Uncharted 3 like later, but that next sequence is difficult. It's kind of like a more narrow thing. I can picture it in my head, even though I haven't played this game in 4 years. And there's a lot of enemies, and they deal a lot of damage. So I remember when the very first time, I matched his emotions. I went into the, kind of gauntlet, and I immediately died. And I think I got stuck there for like 5-10 minutes. Or I died probably 3, 4, 5 times, and was like, this is really messing with like, the pacing of the game, because I feel Nate's anger. I want to go, and then I'm being stopped because I'm being freaking destroyed, by these entities. So I mean, that's just kind of a funny moment I'll always remember. But the big cinematic moments in this game, the cruise line. I'm a big water guy, as you guys obviously know by now. Please, if you don't know that, you don't even really know me. That cruise line with the taking in water, and obviously they promoted that quite heavily going in, burning chateau, the ending, everything kind of sinking into the sand. I mean, it was really good. And I mean, I think Marlo is a very good villain. That she had her moments. moments. I think they could have done more, but I think she was a really good villain. Again, like I said, Talbot, the cast in that game, and even the relationship between Nate and Elena. The main thing was him and Sully, but Elena's there, and they're kind of going through their stuff, but there is so much genuine love for those two in that. And I don't know, like, especially how it ends. Like, you think to Uncharted 2, and it kind of ends in like a funny way. Uncharted 3 does end definitively enough where you really could call it there. Now, I'm happy 4 happened, and that actually is one of the only times I've had tears or cried or anything when it comes to a game. When they first showed the trailer for Uncharted 4, and obviously everything went wrong, they had to restart the game, Amy Hennig left, all that jazz, I had a tear. I could not believe that, hearing and knowing Uncharted, right, the logo coming back, I could not freaking believe. I was so excited, and honestly, a lot of that excitement came because I fell in love with the franchise. And I mean, Uncharted 1 got me, but Uncharted 2 really solidified, like, okay, this is one of the better franchises I've ever played. Now, you're still talking 2010. I'm not super into games yet. I've played like the Crash Bandicoots of the world and stuff, but I'm kind of molding my gaming tastes and trying out these different franchises. Uncharted really solidified itself with Uncharted 2. Uncharted 3 put it over. I don't know if that's like a great phrase, but that's how I think of Uncharted 3. Is I think it's a masterpiece. At the time, it was so visually beautiful. I still think it looks really good. I don't know if it holds up, but it looks really nice with the desert and the sandstorm, and of course the freaking plane you can see behind me, like all of that stuff. It's just high action sequence after high, and I think it's more, it kind of settles into his role. So much of Uncharted 2 I think was kind of brand new, right? The building falling apart and sliding down, running away from the car as you shoot at it, right? A lot of those things were kind of unheard of and unseen in the industry. 3 was like, okay, we're comfortable setting these new standards, let's do the burning chateau, let's do the cruise line, let's do the plane, all this stuff. And for my money's worth, I think 3's got the best sequences like in that way. And I think it honestly does a really good job of balancing it with Nate and Elena, and then Nate and Sully. And I think having a good cast with everybody else too, from Charlie to the villain, everything. I really think this is a very well-rounded game, and it will. This game, and I said it forever. I mean, I didn't have YouTube until 2015. I probably played Uncharted 3. I played Uncharted 3 when it came out, so for about 4 years, right? I was thinking in my head. I think IGN, even with like Colin Moriarty and Greg Miller, there was always the debate of Uncharted 2 versus 3, and it was, in my opinion, it was always 3. I know the majority opinion is Uncharted 2 is better. For me, it's always been Uncharted 3 is the better game, and then when 4 came in, like I said, it kind of messed stuff up. So that felt good. I mean, I was actually, I'm pretty happy with this video. I'm happy I got to talk about it again. Very important game. One of the games that kind of molded me, at the time, still, again, kind of getting into franchises, and now here we are 13 years later, and yeah, I love this game, and I'm not going to play it yet. And whenever I talk about it, I really get into it, so maybe I should play. My PS5's over there. One day I'll play. I'll probably play for the 15-year anniversary. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icons turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.